What's going on, everybody? Greetings from beautiful Virginia. We are just off of the Appalachian Trail, just outside of Damascus, and it's a beautiful 60-degree sunny day. But that's not going to last for very long, because in about 3 hours we've got rain coming in, and then by 8 p.m. it's supposed to turn to snow, so it should be an exciting night. So a lot's been going on since I last saw you. I was charging the battery on the phone and managed to gather some firewood. And as you can tell, it's not sunny anymore. This weather just moved in quick, like somebody flipped a switch. But there was a big old downed hardwood tree. I couldn't really tell what it was. Looked like an oak. Didn't smell like oak. I should know my wood a little better, but I don't. I do know it's hardwood, and I do know it'll burn. So I've cut up all of this, and I've got some kindling type wood right down there. But yeah, check this out. The silky F-180 snapped on me. So yeah, I've got some bigger pieces over here, right behind me, that I have to try and process somehow. Those were going to be the wood that was going to get me through the night. Possibly through the morning. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but I'm trying to think of a way that I can make a wooden handle. I did have the saw sort of in here like this, and I don't know if I could take a piece of cordage and wrap it through that hole so it doesn't move. I don't get much depth with that, but maybe I can kind of undo that screw and clamp it in here somehow, which isn't the greatest. I mean, it could still bind like this or snap off, but there has to be a way that I can get this blade to work. At least if I can saw halfway through my log, I can crack it, and that's kind of what I've done here. Actually, this piece here is a better example. I sawed most of the way through, and then I just took the piece and smashed it up against a tree. So yeah, you don't always have to saw all the way through, but I'm going to have to figure out a way to get this little piece off. And that wood, even though it's standing dead wood, is a little bit moist, I can tell. So at this point in time, I think I'm going to walk down back to that dead tree and collect as much little stuff like this that I can get. Just a ton of kindling. That way in the morning, if I don't have a bed of coals, I can definitely get some kindling going to hopefully start this, and hopefully I can find a way to saw through that. And I probably should have brought my Sven saw, which was my original intention. But I didn't. I brought the Silky instead. And after using a Sven saw for, gosh, well over 35 years, I have to say it's probably, at least in my opinion, the most reliable saw that I've ever used. I mean, a triangle is a really good design. It's very sturdy. And I'm really wishing I had that saw right now. This is the tree I've been getting wood from. I guess it used to be part of that tree. And that one's dead too. It's going to come down at any time. Without a saw, I'm going to have to get creative here. There's more of the tree down here. And I was kind of hoping for smaller pieces like that. But we'll see what I can get that's snappable. And here's a nice piece right here. I can drag this back. There's no telling what's crawling around in here in these leaves. I wouldn't be venturing back here in the summer. This is a great place for snakes. Okay, so I don't want this. This is looks like longleaf pine. I'll probably get some of this. Somebody's been breaking off this already. Snap. It'd be much easier if I had the saw. Let's see. This is a good one. Not exactly the high volume of firewood I was hoping for. With the saw, I could be cutting more pieces off of that big one over there, but my saw is disabled for the moment. Okay, fortunately, that firewood isn't too far away. And I can snap most of this. And Garby's gone to his bed. Yeah, that's another thing we did while the battery was charging, was played ball. We brought Garby's light-up ball with us. Right here. Drop it, Garby. Okay, I think it's break time. Yeah, take a break. Let's get some of this wood processed. I can't believe he's not tired, 13 years old. He's wearing me out. Good job, buddy. We can get that stove lit because it won't be long. Won't be long before the storm gets here. Garby says no to the break. I veto that idea. I'm going to continue to play ball and wear my dad out. It's about dark 30 out here. Not a bad campsite. And it's still kind of warm, but the temperature is supposed to drop, and it kind of feels like it could snow. Okay, that should block at least a little bit of any wind and add a bit of insulation. This is the side that the sleeping bag is on. And if you're a stealthy type person, might even add a bit of camo to it. Still got a bit of fresh air coming over here where my head is going to be, but I like to have that always, especially burning a stove. I want a good supply of fresh air coming in near my head. And over on this side, we got some branches going on here. I think it might be the same thing, just kind of put up some of the debris here. Just kind of add a little bit of extra insulation and possibly extra stealthiness. I don't know. You can really see the orange when I zip that up. I think this color really blends in well. We're going to walk down the hill just a little bit here, a few feet away. You know, other than the pyramid shape, And once we're in low light, even that won't be very visible. There's a pine cone. I'll use that to start the fire. So it's a bit later, it's a bit darker. The temperature really hasn't dropped much since the clouds rolled in. It never did rain. We're supposed to get snow about 8 o'clock. We'll see if that happens or not. I hope I have enough wood to get us through the duration. That remains to be seen. If not, I have Lofty, my minus 20 degree Mont Bell Expedition down hugger that I've had for about 10 years now. Lofty has never failed me. The greatest sleeping bag I've ever owned. And we'll see how Lofty does tonight, and I have no doubt that Lofty will not fail me. I might put a hot water bottle in my sleeping bag since I have the stove going. No reason not to boil water. I have water, plenty of water. Hauled it up here to the campsite, so I might as well use it. I might have a hot cider here in a little while. That remains to be seen. Garvey had a really good time playing ball. We've been kind of cooped up inside the house when we haven't been working. This is the first time we've been out this year, actually. Yep, first trip of the year. Okay, so it's a bit later. The stove is going. The window is a bit fogged, but it's nice and hot. I think Garvey's had his fill of ball playing. At least I hope so, anyway. He's wearing me out. So I did some chair sitting, some log splitting, a little bit of sawing, and I think all the chores are done. So if and when the storm comes, it's going to be coming from that direction over there. It's a bit breezy. These trees look healthy. Hopefully none of them will fall on us. I don't think so. I think they're happy to have us as their house guests this evening. Garvey and myself. That's a beautiful breeze. The chair just blew over. It's getting windy. Hopefully the smokestack stays up. I don't have any sort of guy lines going up there to the spark arrestor. So hopefully my chimney will stay intact. That remains to be seen. That's why we're out field testing. So at this point, I think we've done all we can do as far as fortifying the tent. We've got all the guy lines taut. Everything is staked in and tight. And like I said, if the storm comes, it's going to come from that direction over there. We're kind of on a hilltop, so it'll be interesting. We did rake all these leaves up on the side earlier, and hopefully that will provide some insulation and keep the wind from blowing under. And I do have the insert, so that's a nice thing. I think it's going to be a good night. Well, we packed up and got inside the tent just in time. You hear that? It's rain and it's dark. And the stove, even though it looks like it's out, it is radiating and kicking the heat in here. It's probably a little bit too much for Garvey. I'll have to open the door because it's going to drive us out of here. But at about 8 o'clock, this rain is supposed to turn to snow. So if it does, that's going to be an adventure. Like I said before, I will definitely bring you back if it starts snowing. It is officially snowing. No more rain. And we'll see what this turns into. Good morning. It isn't quite light out yet. It'll be light in about another hour. But it's pretty much snowed all night. I think there's about an inch of snow on the ground, maybe. Maybe a little more. It's snowing right now. It hasn't really snowed hard, obviously, or we'd have a lot more snow. Let's just throw it all in there at once. Okay. So this is an ever new titanium frying pan. It had a coating on it. And the first time I used it over a fire. And I put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the pan. And the fire heated up the olive oil and burned the coating right off it. So I took sandpaper and just sanded it down. Took all the coating off and just kept getting a finer grit until I had a nice polish on it. And in my opinion, it's much better this way. That way, if I scratch it with something such as this knife, I don't have to worry about the coating coming off. Just plain titanium is better for me. Okay, so we're going to let these sit and sizzle, and I'm probably going to have to stoke up the fire a little bit. Okay. Say that stove is nice and stoked now. Okay, so I went ahead and chopped up the sausage. There's just too much of it in there to chop them, or to cook them whole. And I did it with my titanium spoon, since I forgot to bring a spatula. And what I'll probably end up doing is just cracking the eggs in here and scrambling them. I'm going to give Garby a good portion of this sausage once it's cooked. And the one thing I don't like about this maple flavored sausage is it kind of burns the bottom of the pan a little bit. But it's all going to turn out wonderful. It's a beautiful snowy morning outside, and life is currently good. Not the greatest presentation, but I bet it's going to taste really good. We're going to find out. Breakfast was good. Doing some dishes. Having second coffee. Very slowly starting to get organized. No hurry. It's actually snowing again, or sleeting, or whatever it's been doing all night. But I think after coffee, we're going to go outside and just kind of check everything out. Before we get packed up, we'll let the stove die out, kind of dry out the inside of the tent, lay out the sleeping bag. It's a little bit damp on one side. Back here, the inner tent, this is my own fault. I had it a little bit too close to the outer tent. There wasn't a big enough gap, and that's another thing too. If you're going to use this tent as a two-person, whoever sleeps on this side is going to be right up against the condensation, because if this inner tent touches the outer wall, it's going to get wet. It wasn't too bad. I did actually have it freeze a little bit. The inner tent got wet, froze to the outer tent just a little bit, but it was no big deal at all. It was not damp in here. The stove had embers when we woke up in the morning, so that was nice. Kept it kind of dry in here. Yeah, I'm happy, I'm satisfied. No problems from me with this tent so far. And I think I'm going to be doing a review on the tent here coming up shortly. At least that's the plan. And I've spent, I think, 22, 23 nights in it now. So I have a lot of experience with the tent. And not only with this new stove, but with my old homemade ammo can stove. So yeah, I'll be talking about this tent soon. I think I've used it enough to give it an honest review.